Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Laura and I like to craft stuff. Today I finally finished these pieces for a sweater that I've been working on, and I wanted to get on here and show you my blocking process and go over the finished product. I think it'll be fun. It's very brightly colored, so I guess let's get into it. The yarn I got from Joann's, it's the Big Twist acrylic yarn. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that anywhere else at this point. I did not use a pattern, and so I actually did not have enough of the orange yarn, which is why I wound up making the sleeves. I wound up adding stripes to the sleeves to make sure I didn't run out. So the general process for blocking is soaking all of the pieces in water and then stretching them out on something that is soft to dry on. So I have my pot, and then I have this Lanolin delicate wash that I got from a yarn crawl, oh gosh, years ago. I won a prize and this was included in it. So I'm going to be adding that to the wash, even though this is acrylic, because I do think it helps the yarn and the fabric, regardless of fabric type or yarn type, I guess. Yarn material. I wanted something that was oversized, and I am technically, I guess, considered plus size. So I made it as big as I could, and that's why I didn't really use a pattern. Not as big as I could, but I measured it out to make sure that it was big for me. And I just kind of went on the basic shape of what a shirt or a sweatshirt would be patterned like, including a little pocket for the front of it, which I'm excited about. So I took each piece separately because I did knit them separate pieces, and I soaked them into the pot with the lanolin added. I did the rest of this in the sink because it obviously tried to overflow on me. I left each piece soaking for 15 minutes, which is what the directions on the lanolin said. And then once it's done soaking, you're supposed to squeeze out all the water. Then you take a towel and you lay it out flat, and you put your knitting that's still damp into the towel, laid out flat as well, and then roll up the towel to soak up the rest of the moisture because you don't want it to be too wet. So that is exactly what I'm doing here. It is easier to do this on the ground. For filming, I did not want to deal with filming on the ground. But you just roll it into that towel, and then I actually put it down and stepped on it for a little bit, but you press down to make sure that it's soaking up the moisture. And I did let it sit for a little while doing that as well. Then, once you've let it sit for a little bit and the towel is nice and wet, you unroll it and you've got your still damp knitting piece ready to be blocked. Now, typically, people do this on yoga mats or like the puzzle piece kid mats that are like a little bit foamy. I don't have any of those because I don't normally like to block my items. However, because this was going to be sewn together, I knew I needed to block it out to stop any curling and to kind of make sure that it fit properly for what I was trying to achieve with this. And so I just decided to pin it to my quilting wall. And honestly, I think that worked great. I did set up a space heater to be at my pieces so that they dried faster because it's still cool, but I didn't want to turn on the heat. But you pin out, whether with these kind of pins or corkboard pins, if you're using the foam mats, to stretch out and make sure that your edges are all neatly aligned. And so that's what I'm showing you here. I did the sleeves in the round instead of sewing them up, which made blocking a little weird, and also why I pulled out the space heater, because they're doubled up when they're blocked here. But it worked out, and they, I think, turned out really well. So now that all my pieces are blocked, I can sew them together. I don't know that my hand sewing knitted garments is looking the best, but it ultimately, I mean, just worked out. I wound up doing, yeah, just a basic back and forth stitch. Now, normally, like I said, I don't actually block my items usually with knitting. And that's mainly out of laziness. I feel like, especially with socks, you're going to wind up blocking them to your feet anyway, so why bother? But I have had sweaters where I think that they would look better if I had blocked them. And I mean, I guess I can still block them if I really want to. So I wanted this one, especially since it was going to be specifically oversized, to kind of, I guess, look better. I think blocking does make a difference. I just don't always have the energy to deal with it. I definitely was inspired by hoodies and how their pockets function with this sweater, because I've also had sweaters where I've done pockets and putting anything in them, they get so overwhelmed. I originally was going to try to be sneaky and hide some of the stitches, and so I did do that for the bottom seam, but I hated the way that wound up looking, and so the rest of the seams were whip stitched down. And I think it looks super cute, and I think that it's stable enough with it all that it's been tied or sewn in that it's going to work a lot better as a pocket than other pockets I've done with regular knitting sweaters. I was also, I think, a little bit inspired by the sweatshirts. I had gotten fleece from Joann's recently, and I had some leftover fleece from quilt backings as well. And so I made some hoodies patterned off of a hoodie that I really like wearing, and they turned out great. So I actually have 2 more batches of fleece that I want to make sweatshirts out of. And so the construction of this was really similar to the way that the hoodies were constructed, which was nice because I just recently made those. I don't really know if I'm going to make a video for those because they're pretty basic, but maybe I will if anybody's interested in that. I'll do the 2 that I haven't made yet. Once all my pieces were sewn together, I was gonna try a crocheted collar for the sweater because I didn't actually knit in a collar. I figured I wanted to have that a little bit more shaped. Crocheting that turned out terribly. I really hated the way that it looked. I know there's a way to do ribbing in crochet. I'm not sure what it was, and I wasn't gonna look that up. After I after I just did a basic collar, I actually undid all of that and decided to knit a collar instead. I like the way that it turned out, but I do wish that I had done more rows for knitting my collar than I actually did. The collar's pretty short. I was worried that it was going to be too long because I don't like anything on my neck. But this was just a basic 2x2 ribbing pattern, and I did really enjoy it. And here we have the final look. I really like the way that this turned out. It's definitely a big cozy sweater, and I like that I was able to get it oversized for me. So blocking and all of this worked out really well, and I'm very excited about it. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I am trying to post more frequently. I do have a quilt one coming back up. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. Like and subscribe if you want to. All right. Thanks. Bye.